points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
It started on a Friday night, October the 14th, a Jets victory against the New York Rangers. It ends on a Thursday night, April 13th, a Jets defeat to the Colorado Avalanche, but the best time of year is still around the corner. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. And for the 82nd time this regular season, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. With Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg, we got the band back together, all together, for this final regular season post-game show, here to discuss the Jets and the Avalanche. We'll look forward to the playoffs a little bit, have a little bit of fun, all sorts of shenanigans in store as we wrap up 82 regular season games worth of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Good to see both of you gentlemen on this Thursday night. I know that for one, it was sort of nice this game, as I hit my microphone, we're already off to a great start. This game,
a little jittery there, Drew. How much coffee have you had to drink?
I haven't had any, to be honest. I only had my one cup this morning, and that was it. But I was thinking about it before the game started, or before the post game started. This one game, this really the only meaningless game of the season so far, and it's going to be the only meaningless game of the season, of course. Much better than last year, where the last sort of 6 weeks worth of games were meaningless as you're sitting there sort of dreading the post-game shows. Tonight, it's nice, it's relaxed. We got the intensity and the fire out on Tuesday night after the Jets' victory against the Wild, and they clinched the playoff spot then. Tonight, a much more relaxed, much more chill environment, I would say, permeating everybody for tonight's Jets-Avalanche game.
Not sure if you're being tongue-in-cheek, Drew, but I don't think that's a good thing when it comes to the Avalanche. Obviously, the Jets didn't have anything to play for.
But I'm just talking from the Jets' perspective. I'm not
exactly, but I know you are. But the Avalanche, that wasn't exactly the most intense effort that we've seen from the Avalanche. Like, they really just turned it on when they needed to, right? And they first place is at stake here, right?
Yeah.
And at certain points of this game, like, you wondered when the Avalanche were going to turn it up, and like I mentioned, like, they only really did it at certain points in the game. So obviously the Avalanche had a lot more skill in their lineup, but you love to see a player like Carson Kuhlman get back into the lineup, or Axel Jonsson-Fjällby, Kyle Capobianco, Logan Stanley, and also Dominic Toninato, right, who's been having a great year with the Moose. Obviously was hoping to play more games in the NHL with the Jets, but I thought he was good. And it was a good effort from the Jets, right? Like, it was a tie game. It really could have gone either way. Like, it's not like you're gonna watch, after watching that game, you're gonna say, like, the Avalanche could have had 2 or 3 more goals. Like, David Riddick, obviously, he probably would like to have the game-winning goal back, right? But
I'd hope so.
Yeah, no, for sure. And he hasn't played in a long time. It's almost a month since he's played. I think first game in what did Hellebuck start? 13 games or 14 games?
13.
Something like that. 13. There you go, Dave. So good for David Riddick to get a game, because obviously if Riddick is playing any significant amount of time in the playoffs, something has gone very, very wrong.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. There will not be a significant amount of time in the playoffs if that is the case, my friend.
You're absolutely right. But, Dave, I think as he's right, for a Jets team that had nothing to play for and obviously had a number of regulars out of the lineup, I thought the Jets handled themselves, pretty well tonight. I mean, obviously they didn't win, but the result is meaningless. The result doesn't matter. But I liked the effort. I liked, for a mishmash of a lineup, I thought that they certainly acquitted themselves very well in tonight's game against the Avalanche. That's, like I said, the game doesn't matter. A lot of these guys aren't going to be playing come playoff time. Mike McIntyre saying that he expects the Jets to start on Tuesday. Time will tell if that's accurate or not. Hopefully we'll know more by the end of the night tonight. But I thought the Jets, for a mishmash of a team, certainly put forth a very reasonable effort. Really, an effort better than some of the regular efforts we've seen this year.
Well, first of all, I got to give a mention to this comment by Spency because it's a good one. Rittich wasn't even close on that fourth goal. No idea where he was there. Of course, it was an empty net goal, but good one by Spency nonetheless. And look, what have we talked about when the Jets had 7 players injured? You're always going to get an honest effort from these guys who come up in the lineup and are hungry. And as he said, Carson Kuhlman, all of these guys, Kyle Capobianco, they wait their turn. They wait patiently to get back in the lineup. Logan Stanley, David Gustafson, they're champing at the bit, not chomping, to get in that lineup and have some sort of impact. So when they actually can, I mean, look, these guys have been sitting around practicing for months. I actually was a little surprised that the Jets didn't choose to send Axel Jonsson-Fjällby down to at least get him some games with the Moose because he's eligible. And get him keep him in game shape at least a little bit because you can. Why not? And you've got the extras in Kuhlman and Gustafson if in case you need someone in a pinch. But the fact is that all those guys went in, and I thought they played a good game, and I thought they played an inspired game because you could see them working hard. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a significant effort. But I mean, look, the Jets started that second period out shooting the Avalanche, defending Stanley Cup champs, who have something to play for in that game. They outshot them 7-1 to start, and obviously had the 1 goal in that stretch. But for a Jets team that really had no incentive to play, you really just expected them to bubble wrap everyone.
Yeah, the objective to get out of the game without anyone getting injured.
That's why we were listening to the broadcast. Ez and I were here at my place, and
you weren't watching it.
Well, we were listening to what Dan Robertson had to say because I couldn't see Dan Robertson, so I was listening to Dan Robertson.
I thought maybe you guys were just being old school and just listening to Paulie and Jamie on the radio.
Well,
maybe
I'd
curled up in front of a fire or something.
Right there.
We actually put a bed sheet to cover the TV, Drew. We just didn't want to watch it. We only wanted to hear Dan Robertson and Kevin Sawyer. But we also had the radio going at the same time.
It is Yontif, is it not? It's
over. It's over. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make before I was almost potentially sidebarred was the fact that on the broadcast, Dan Robertson's like, well, wouldn't it be great if they went to overtime? And I'm like, no, I don't think anybody would think it's going to be great if they go to overtime and have a chance to get injured. This game is meaningless. You want this game to end in regulation if you're the Winnipeg Jets. You don't need overtime. You don't need what we saw with Vladimir Nemesnikov going into the post and potentially cracking a rib or doing something significant.
Kevin Stenlund leaving the game.
Kevin Stenlund didn't, of course, play after the second period.
Yeah, sorry, Dave. I was just going to quickly say Nemesnikov was called earlier in the game for tripping Mikko Rantanen, right? And it was knee on knee, right? So this is why we're not going to get into the whole load management thing here. I mean, because the Avalanche needed this game to finish first in the Central, right? So that's why they iced the best lineup that they could. Obviously, Cale Makar, Josh Manson, those guys are not playing. We should mention, I think everybody has heard the news by now probably, but Captain Gabe Landeskog is not going to play in the playoffs. And you wonder if that had any impact. And obviously it's tough to quantify that because, I mean, they won the game, but you wonder, it has to, on some level, boys, it has to have an impact because that's your captain. That's one of your better players. And the Avalanche can probably still, win a round or two. I don't know if they're going to be able to win the Stanley Cup without Landeskog. I also just don't think their team is as good without Nazem Kadri, Andrei Burakovsky. Obviously, there are some question marks in goal. So I just think that, this Avalanche team, as opposed to the Jets, we know they had to play for something. But I think it was a pretty impressive effort by the Jets. And not the easiest, type of game to come into, right? Nice to see. We've already talked about the guys, that haven't been playing a lot come into the lineup. But I think it's almost even harder for some of the regulars in the lineup, right? Kyle Connor had a good game. We saw him, bank the shot off of Georgiev and then it hit the crossbar. And, he was generating, he had a wrap around in the third period, looked like he might, put one in there past Georgiev. But, I think it's kind of tough to play in a meaningless game, more so for the veterans, right? We know that, a guy like Dominic Toninato, I mean, this is just, a bonus game for him because he's obviously going to go back down to the Moose. So, we're obviously not going to take this game too seriously, but I think you have to be happy with the effort. You definitely wouldn't like it if the Jets got, pounded 5-0 or 6-0 something like that. You don't want to have that as your last memory going into the first round, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that, Ezzy. I thought that was a good point. You want to be playing well, or at least putting forth the right. You want your game to look right, at least as you're entering into the playoffs. Now, to a man, the Jets will probably say that the result, doesn't matter, or they know that the result doesn't matter. So in that sense, the fact that it's a loss entering the playoffs isn't the end of the world. But for a team that's been so inconsistent, Dave, with their effort all season long, and so inconsistent, and so to the point that Rick Bowness really didn't know what to expect and which team's going to show up. At least this is the resemblant of the team that had been playing so well and winning, 5 of their last 6 games to get to this point where game 82 is ultimately meaningless.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. And you want to see that effort. And that's what all fans have been asking for, is that the give a shit level is high and that guys actually care. And even like Ezzy's right, you didn't want to see the Jets just lay an egg and get pounded 6-0. You wanted to see an effort. And that to me is why it was critical for the Jets. The Jets didn't have to beat the Colorado Avalanche tonight. Nobody is like steaming mad at dirt right now that the Jets didn't win this hockey game. But fans are happy with the fact
Stars fans.
Except some Stars fans, it's true. But the truth is that I think fans are happy with what they saw from a lot of guys. Morgan Barron had another really good game. Mm-hmm. He continues to perform at an exceptional level, especially given the fact that he's had more limited minutes. And, Axel Jonsson-Fjällby was skating well. So, I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy to just go into these games having sat for as long as a lot of these guys have, and to, be in game shape against the Colorado team that, needed to win this hockey game. Again, I agree with Ezzy. I think that it did feel like there was a bit of a malaise around Colorado, perhaps because of the news with respect to their captain.
Yeah.
They just didn't seem to have, a ton of jump, but in a game that actually meant something to them, and knowing that the Jets were, sporting 6 new bodies. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, like I said, this is a team that you wanted to see that compete, that effort. And that's exactly what the Jets brought tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. We'll keep a bit of a close eye on the out-of-town scoreboard as we go through the post-game show tonight.
Do we have to do that? The chat's going to do it for us.
I know the chat's going to do it for us, but they don't do it for the podcast listeners. Podcast listeners, Dave, think about them. Stop being so insular. Stop.
Drew, who do you think works on the podcast and has it up within 5 minutes of this show ending? Not you.
I didn't say that you don't do the work.
You said think about the people.
Yes. Who do
you think thinks about them more than me?
Well,
nobody.
Clearly me, because I want to update the score of the Oilers Sharks.
I'm clipping things. I'm clipping audio. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Trust me, I'm doing lots for the podcast, folks.
Drew, I got to go with Dave on this one. He is the people's champ.
There you go. 4-2 Edmonton. The start of the third period there. The expectation, of course, would be that the Oilers are going to hold on to that. And then it'll all come down to the Golden Knights and the Seattle Kraken. That game halfway through the first period, the Golden Knights still looking for their first shot on goal. Kraken it's 0-0, but the Kraken have been controlling that game so far. It actually matters as well for the Kraken in that if they win and the Los Angeles Kings lose to the Anaheim Ducks, the Kraken would get third spot in the Pacific Division.
Yeah, so, these games actually matter still.
Yeah, they matter for every team that's not the Jets, as it happens. The Jets and the Minnesota Wild. The Wild are now locked into the are locked into third spot in the Central Division.
Can't even beat Nashville.
Yeah, they went into Nashville and did they win? Or
no, they lost in overtime.
Yeah, they lost in overtime. That's what I thought.
I just said can't beat Nashville.
Oh, can't beat Nashville. I thought you said they even beat Nashville.
No, I said they can't even beat Nashville.
And that's who Colorado's going to play in their last game
tomorrow
to hopefully get first in the Central.
Yeah, that the Avalanche are really, not that thrilled about having to, fly from Denver to Nashville tonight to play a meaningful
it's like a 6 o'clock start tomorrow.
I'm sure it is.
It is.
To try and get that game over with as quickly as they can to get back to Denver, so that they can, get ready for the playoffs. They're going to be playing late, later than all the other playoff teams. They're the only playoff team that will still be playing tomorrow. I think there's another makeup game. I think Pittsburgh and Columbus. Columbus plays somebody tomorrow. I thought Columbus and Buffalo play each other tomorrow in another makeup game.
Nice ceremony for Craig Anderson tonight.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah, that was nice.
The end of the game, if you haven't missed it, Craig Anderson, who was the same age as me, and believe it or not, folks, I'm not an NHL goaltender. 41-year-old Craig Anderson announced that today is his final game in the NHL after just a tremendous career that's taken him to so many different teams. And at the end of the game tonight in Buffalo, he got a huge ovation, of course, and his teammates poured off the bench to celebrate with him. And then the Senators, because Craig Anderson spent so many years
10
in the
years.
Senators organization as well. You know, you don't see this every day. The Senators,
he's actually buying the team.
He's not quite buying the team, but the Senators came over and they celebrated with the Sabres players and with Craig Anderson all on the ice tonight. So that was sort of a nice scene that you don't see every day, in the NHL. But Game 82 didn't really matter for anything. It's sort of you can celebrate the individual rather than some of the team that we on a night like tonight. We say good evening to everyone. It's the Illegal Curve post game show here on our YouTube channel.
Oh, hold on, Drew. A little late on the updates here.
Oh, well, sorry, I was talking. Thank you to the
what were the people in the podcast going to think?
Thank you to Wara33 in the chat, who's saying that Vegas has opened the scoring on their first shot of the game. Riley Smith has opened the scoring, so 1-0 Vegas. And
what is this, Vegas lunch?
No, it's not. I'm just updating the scores. People have their strong opinions if they'd rather see the Jets play the Golden Knights or they'd rather see the Jets play McDavid and Draisaitl and the juggernaut Edmonton Oilers.
The Jets need to play Vegas, let me tell you. They don't want to face Edmonton right now.
I don't think they want to face Edmonton either. Not that Vegas is going to be any sort of pushover, but I think
no,
that's
not at all.
I don't think anybody wants to face Edmonton right now.
Not the way McDavid and Draisaitl are playing, and
Skinner's playing well too.
Skinner's playing in goal for them. He's shored up the goaltending once finally.
Drew, I mentioned this to Dave in the third period. Has anybody had a quieter 100-point season in recent memory than Ryan Nugent-Hopkins? Like,
unbelievable.
It's like he just
third fiddle on
quietly. Yeah, it's like when you have a guy putting up 150 points plus, he could get more.
Doesn't he have like 40 goals and like 60 assists?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Like his numbers are like, he's got almost 40 goals, I think. I think it was like 37, 38.
Like he would be leading, 28 different teams around the NHL in points, but on the Oilers, he's third.
Yeah, I know, they're incredible.
What is this, Oilers lunch?
That's why you don't want to play the Oilers, because especially with Matthias Ekholm back there. I think that's going to go down as one of the best. I expect that'll be the best trade deadline acquisition this season. Matthias Ekholm just does so much for the.
Well, there's something like 17-3 since that trade.
Well,
right?
That's what I'm saying. It's just absolutely dominant, and we'll talk about that, of course, if the Jets end up playing the Oilers in extensive detail on Saturday morning. The Illegal Curve Hockey Show, 9 a.m. It is your most comprehensive playoff preview. The three of us will be delving deep into the Winnipeg Jets versus ? As well as all the other playoff matchups that are going to take place because, of course, the playoffs begin Monday. Mike McIntyre reporting he expects the Jets to start on Tuesday, but time will tell if that actually comes to fruition or not. Nonetheless, let's get into the Betway game recap for tonight. It's brought to you by Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. Title sponsor here of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront with a large selection of betting options and sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. Colorado opens the scoring, 13:33 mark of the first period. Dennis Malgin, his 13th of the season, assist to Lars Eller and Alex Newhook. Couple things you don't like on this goal. First would be the juicy rebound, I say, that David Riddick gives up here. And second of all, the fact that Dennis Malgin is behind both Jets defenders and wide open, and able to deposit the rebound past David Riddick. So a couple breakdowns on this one to allow the Avalanche to open the scoring, Ezzy.
Yeah, it was Saku Manalainen who couldn't clear the puck, if I'm not mistaken. And Malkin was flying around in this game, and he's been a guy that played for the Panthers, played for the Leafs. And yeah, it's just like, putting the puck on net and getting the rebound, right? So Malkin's a guy that, not Evgeny Malkin, almost said Malkin there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a guy that, I believe he's tied his career high, or this is his career high, but goes to the net. And yeah, it's a rebound, and he gets in behind the D. But yeah, it's just a combination of a bad turnover at the blue line and, just some quick, decisive puck movement by the Avalanche and a nice rebound goal by Malgin. I thought he was noticeable tonight. Like, again, going back to what I was saying before, like this was you could there was every reason for the Avalanche to be dominant in this game, right? No Ehlers, no Scheifele. The list goes on and on. How many regulars were out? I think 5, right? Or was it 6 regulars out of the lineup? 6. There you go, Dave. So, I mean, this was not a dominant game by any stretch of the imagination, but that was a pretty dominant sequence by the Avalanche.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Quick update regarding Kevin Stenlund, Dave M, before I let you chime in on this goal. Jets head coach Rick Bowness, this is courtesy of our buddy Ken Wiebe, who's on site in Denver, said there's no real concern over Kevin Stenlund leaving the game early with a lower body injury. He should be ready for game 1. So there you go. There's your update pertaining to Kevin Stenlund. Seems like all is well with the Winnipeg Jets 4th line center and a goal scorer in tonight's game, which we'll get to a little bit later on. But for now, Dave M, your thoughts on the first Avalanche goal?
Well, just quickly, I mean, it's a smart move by the Jets not to bother putting him out in a meaningless game, and risking him potentially getting, additionally injured if he was at all. So I like that precautionary move to ensure that he's, just don't take any risks, because you like what Kevin Stenlund's done with that 4th line. Jets do, at least. They've liked what he's been able to do in terms of faceoffs, in terms of on the PK. So the fact is that you didn't want to take any risks, and you didn't need to, of course. Guys just get more ice time. Guys are usually okay with that. But I mean, as he's right, like the breakdown you don't like, and I certainly don't like that rebound by David Rittich. He makes the save, but the puck is right there. It's waiting. And look, the defense should have been able to pick up Morgan and clear him out of the way, not allow him, like you said, to get in behind them and be essentially unmolested. But the fact of the matter is, if Rittich doesn't give that rebound, there's nothing to worry about. If he catches that puck clean, then there's no conversation. But he doesn't catch it clean, drops right in front of him. So you've got a mistake by the defense, but you got a mistake by the goaltender. If the goaltender doesn't make that mistake, there's nothing to, sure, he's in behind the defense, but there's nothing for him to touch. The puck is covered. So Rittich has been subpar, to be polite, for the, and it was weird because on the broadcast, they were talking about how good he was in the beginning of the season. I thought, who cares? It like this, we don't, you don't say, well, when I scored 4 touchdowns for Polk High back in the day, I was the best, quarterback of all time. That's not the point. The point was, what have you done for me lately? And lately, David Rittich hasn't been good, and he hasn't been he's not like Kramer on the bus. He's not making all the stops, and you need him to be able to make stops, and he's not doing it. So, I mean, it's just it's a juicy rebound that he gives up, and they're able to deposit into the back of the net.
Yeah. I just wanted to quickly say, boys, just check the advanced stats, because we always like to give a shout out to Natural Stat Trick, which is a great resource. That line of Lars Eller, Alex Newhook, who am I missing here? Newhook and the goal scorer, Dennis Mulligan. That line, that's the third line for the Avalanche. They had the best even strength performance for the Avalanche forwards. And, that's something that, even though just quickly here, we'll maybe get into this more on Saturday, because we got some more goals to get into here. But like, that was one of the reasons they acquired Lars Eller. That was the only player the Avalanche acquired at the deadline. They knew that Landeskog was not coming back until the first round at the earliest. So if Lars Eller is your third line center, I mean, that's pretty good to me. JT Compher is having a career year. Yeah. He's been centering that second line. So going back to what I said, I don't think the Avalanche are the Stanley Cup favorite right now. I think there's probably at least 3 or 4 teams in the East that are better than the Avalanche. But I'm just saying, like, I don't think that, the Avalanche, even without Landeskog, Makar's got to be healthy for sure. But I just think that line of Newhook, Eller, and Mulligan, the stats back it up. That was their best line tonight.
Yeah, and they opened the scoring to make it 1-0, and that's how it was after 20 minutes. Neither team getting any more than what they got there. The Jets did kill off 2 Avalanche power plays in that first period, so the penalty kill continues its strong play. The Jets opened the scoring in the second period and tie the game at the 2:15 mark. Axel Jonsson-Fjällby, he's got speed. Neil Pionk and Brendan Dillon with the assists. And again,
it's the other way around, Drew. The Jets had 2 power plays in the first period.
You're right. The Jets had 2 power plays in the first period. I was reading it backwards. You're absolutely right.
I'm sitting there going, sometimes you say anything and you're very authoritative. So I was like, oh, okay.
Guys, this game was meaningless. I mean, you could argue, did this game even happen?
Well, I mean, it did happen. We all watched it, and we're all here talking about it. But you're absolutely right. The Jets had the 2 power plays in the first period.
Keeping you honest there, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate the help. And of course, it was a jumbled mess of a couple power play units for the Winnipeg Jets. So you really can't read too much into.
Although, I will say, and I don't know about you guys, but I was outraged that Nikolai Ehlers wasn't on the first power play unit. That there was no Mark
you used to
Scheifele.
joke on Twitter already.
I know, but you know what? I got good reaction on Twitter. That's I tested my material. Drew, you wouldn't know because
Drew,
you don't have
to do that.
You don't have any association with comedy, so I'll explain something to you. A good comedian, Drew, they test their material out, and then when it works, you use it again. So if you wouldn't have ruined it for me.
Dave struck gold on Twitter, so he needs to bring it up again.
That was gold, Jerry. Gold.
Good to know. And nonetheless, you're right. The Jets power play had 2 opportunities in the first period, was unsuccessful. They got going in the second period, 5-on-5. Axel Jonsson-Fjällby, his first game back in the lineup in a while, must feel good to him to be able to get a goal. He does his 6th of the year, assist to Pionk and Brendan Dillon. It's a point shot from Pionk that Axel Jonsson is able to jump on the rebound, almost like while he's flying by it. He tucks it past Alexander Georgiev to tie the game up at 1 early in the second period, Dave.
I'll go. I was ready to go.
I was like, you never go to me on that one.
Drew, Dave was muted there. Yeah, okay. The IKEA line struck there. We got 3 Swedes on that line. And you know what? Like they provide a lot of offense. They provide a lot of energy, is what I meant to say.
A lot of offense.
Yeah, no, that's not necessarily the case. I mean, Gus Bus is still looking for his first of the year, right? But again, I mean, going back to what we said before we get back into the goal, it's just nice for these guys to get ice time because when you acquire Nino Niederreiter and Nemestikov at the trade deadline, that bounces other guys out of the lineup, and that meant that Carson Kuhlman and Axel Jonsson-Fjällby weren't playing much. In the last however many games, 10 games or whatever. So I like the energy that those guys brought. And I mean, he out-muscles former first overall pick Erik Johnson there. Erik Johnson's a big boy. You guys know that, right? So to me, that's what that is. Just going to the net, out-muscling Johnson, out-muscling Johnson, who's got a lot more weight than Jonsson-Fjällby. And yeah, just a nice little point shot from Pionk. Dylan sets I believe his career high or tied his career high for points in the season. Had a nice little intermission chat with Dan Robertson. Really like that. But just good work by Jonsson-Fjällby in front of the net on that goal, Drew.
Yeah, exactly right. Go hard to the net, get pucks through. Cliche. But there's a reason why they are cliches. They are usually rooted in truth. The Jets then take a lead. They take
Hold a lead. I just want to quickly add. As he was right, it was the career high for Brendan Dillon, 4 points. He got 23 at 22 twice with the San Jose Sharks. So now he has 23 here with the Jets. Ties also his career high for assists, which was 21. So a good season for number 5.
Yeah, certainly was a very solid season for him. I would say that just, a lot of times he just sort of was doing his thing, being a physical defenseman and trying to keep the opposition away from the front of the net, and certainly had an impact in the game against Minnesota on Tuesday night, impacting his fist into Ryan Hartman after Hartman's hit on Nikolai Ehlers. The Jets take the lead at the 14:59 mark of the second period. It's a shorthanded goal for the Jets. Talk about this one sort of came out of nowhere. Kevin Stenlund getting his 6th of the season, assist to Morgan Barron. It's a great play, great pass by Barron, and Kevin Stenlund is going hard towards the net, and he's able to really sort of bank it in. It looks like Nathan McKinnon maybe got a first piece of it, and then Stenlund was able to get more of it and get it past Georgiev. It was never really perfectly clear on the broadcast exactly whose stick went off at what point in time. But unless they do like they did to Kyle Connor and take his goal away from him the next day, they did that on Wednesday. I guess they took away,
gave it to Dylan DeMello
and gave it back to Dylan DeMello after they reviewed the tape a little bit more. But for now, and I think it's going to stay, Kevin Stenlund getting his 6 shorthanded here, Dave.
Yeah, and really the work, they both get credit. I thought Morgan Barron was excellent again, and I said that to start the show, but you really see the work that he's putting in his first full season up with the Winnipeg Jets. His compete is really high. I think Dan Robertson favors him a little bit since they're both East Coast guys, but it's interesting to watch the development of a guy who hasn't hung his head. He was up, he was getting more ice time. Now he's on the 4th line but he's still got that same sort of work ethic, and he's still, pushing for more. And I mean, he's getting opportunity on the PK, and he's looked really good. And there's another example, him and Kevin Stenlund. I mean, Morgan Barron, again, first of all, he makes the play happen. He recognizes the opportunity, uses his legs to create, waits, just kind of goes just slightly wide, I think, to give Stenlund enough time to catch up and kind of create that opportunity because he can see it forming. And good on Kevin Stenlund, like you said, Drew, to power through. He's got McKinnon with him, right? And you're sitting there going, that's not an easy guy. Ezzy and I were talking about what McKinnon did in the third period, how strong he is, but good on Stenlund for going. And I don't know where he got injured. Ezzy and I watched it back a couple of times, and it appeared that he may have caught his leg in almost like he caught a rut in the ice because his leg went around Gorgiev's pad a little bit awkwardly.
So I don't know if it was net there. That was as forceful as you get when you're driving the net, and it was McKinnon who was the back check. And I agree with you, just watching the replay here, because we all know Barron had the burst of speed, the turnover. But, he played that perfectly, right? Like, put the puck exactly where you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you 100%. Like, I think, Barron, he could have kind of, he could have taken that demotion to the fourth line and not really had an impact in the game. But what he's done, like you said, Dave, is, he's made Rick Bowness and the coaching staff notice how well he's played. And if he does need to move up into the lineup, if there's a hole, I should say, he can play on the second line. We obviously know he can play on the third line with Lowry and Appleton. And I also think too, I mean, we know that the Avalanche tied it up on the power play, but at the time, I mean, that was a huge, momentum swing for the Jets at the time, because if you remember the first, 8 to 10 minutes of the second period it was all Jets. Like, they were playing really well. Yeah. And then that power play, you thought was going to be killed off. And then we know it wasn't, because Rantanen made up for his turnover there. Cause I think it was Rantanen who turned over the puck to Barron, if I'm not mistaken. Right. So, I mean, really impressive goal, and unfortunate that Stenlund was injured. But as Bailey, the official IC intern, mentioned, Stenlund got the third star, and he's been really impressive for a guy that looked like he was going to stay with the Moose, right, Dave? And he's managed to basically be a staple of that fourth line. So really impressive. And the other thing I was going to say is it's almost like the Jets under Rick Bowness and his penalty killing system, they've got this down to a T, right? Like Lowry, Appleton, Manalainen, Barron, Stenlund, like. These guys, like, they know when they pick their spots, right? And we've seen that so many times, that 2-on-1, shorthanded goal or 2-on-1 shorthanded situation. So you got to love how much more aggressive the PK has been this year.
No, the PK with its passiveness early in the year last year was just one of the most bewildering parts of the end of Paul Maurice's tenure as Jets head coach. We don't need to rehash that. We rehashed that a lot last year, but you're right, Ezzy. It's been much more refreshing watching this PK than the one last year. Jaden Schwartz has scored at the 16:20 mark of the first period, tying the game between Vegas and Seattle. So 1-1 now in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle and
Vegas only needs 1 point. Drew, we should mention that they need 1 point to win.
Yes, and
to finish first.
And they're in the back half of the third period with the Oilers still up 4-2 on the San Jose Sharks. So Oilers getting closer to doing their job in trying to finish atop the Pacific Division. So 2-1 for the Jets at this point. It doesn't last very long, 1 minute and 12 seconds on the power play. We praised the power play, and now they give up a power play goal. But I think you've got a little bit of an excuse when it's Mikko Rantanen, his 55th goal of the season. Again,
double nickels, as Dan Robertson said. I've never heard that before, but I like that.
Well, it's a good line. So 55 for Mikko Rantanen. Evan Rodriguez and Devin Taves get the assists, and he just gets set up perfectly by Rodriguez and absolutely can fire the puck like few others in the league, beating David Riddick with this one. I really don't think you can blame Riddick much on this one.
No,
this is a goal scorer's goal, and Rantanen makes no mistake to make it 2-2 late in the second period, Ezzy.
Yeah, I seem to remember right before this goal was scored, Rantanen, had a pass to, I think it was McKinnon in front of the net. He wasn't too happy about it. But yeah, this is like it's very similar to actually Kyle Connor, like the release and the way he's able to basically take passes and put the puck wherever he wants, even if he's kind of off balance. And I kind of just watching that was kind of thinking that, like, it almost seemed like because there was a scoring chance right before that, as I mentioned. He wasn't exactly set, like, perfectly or stepping into the shot. So it was like he was almost not off balance, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no chance for David Riddick. I mean, Rantanen's unbelievable. Again, I this is something that's thrown out too much, but I think because he plays behind Nathan McKinnon in the sense, a little bit in his shadow. But Mikko Rantanen, I think you guys would agree, is probably a top 10 forward in the league.
Yeah, no question about it. Certainly a top 10 goal scorer for sure, but probably a top 10 forward all in all. He's just that good of a player for the Colorado Avalanche. So 2-2 after 40 minutes. And then the Avalanche take the lead at the 3:01 mark. And this is one of the uglier goals the Jets have given up all season long. It's Evan Rodriguez.
You know what it had shades of? Not quite as bad. Andre Pavlik against the Blues.
The Blues. No, it was from this one was at least from inside the blue line.
It wasn't from center ice.
Yeah, exactly. That goal still is that goal is still a memorable one. You're right, Dave. And the stakes were not nearly as significant tonight as they were in that game against the Blues. But Evan Rodriguez gets his 16th assist to Arturi Lehkonen, and it was that Braden Hunt, if I'm not mistaken, is the other Brad Hunt. Pardon me, Brad Hunt gets the secondary assist. And this is just a stinker of a goal that can't go in. I mean, I don't know how much more you can say about it. It was just a bad goal, as Tracy said on the screen there, the comment that's on the screen. Just can't go in, and is probably a very good reminder of where the Jets would be if it wasn't for Connor Hellebuyck and his consistent health. Because David Riddick is just not up to the snuff to do the job for any significant period of time.
No, I mean it's a goal that can't go in. You just can't. And again, I think I'm gonna have to pay a little, put a little quarter in every time I use the word meaningless to describe this hockey game. But even in a meaningless game, you still want to again, not critical to win, but guys are still trying. And I'm not saying that David Riddick isn't trying,
no, he's definitely
but try and be better because that goal is just a goal that shouldn't be going in. And I know, as he said, he hasn't played in a long time, but he practices every day. And he faces shots every single day. And look, I didn't watch the replay 6 or 7 different times, so I'm not certain whether there was
doesn't matter,
anything. But I mean, when the shot is coming from that far away,
no. Even if there's a screen, you got time to pick it up.
But the screen wasn't even that far because I don't think the gap was that significant between the defenseman and the shot and Rodriguez. So and again, it was such a distance that Rittich should have had that goal. I'm sorry. And honestly, it kind of went in, and I looked at it, I'm like, did that go in from that far? It was kind of almost shocking to see that it actually had gone in from that far away, because to be honest with you, I thought it was a little.
That 40 feet, boys, at least 30 feet. That was a long shot, and Drew's that's a bad goal. I'm sorry, I don't want to pick on sometimes big save Dave here, but that was. I mean, let's put it this way. You're right, Dave. This is word of the day, meaningless. But if this game mattered, I mean, we would be talking about this in a very different way. And
if
David
this game mattered, he wouldn't have been in. He wouldn't have been in net.
Yeah, that's a good point. But earlier in the game, remember the save he made on Bowen Byram, point blank. He made some good saves today. He wasn't making Hellebuckian saves like the one on Matt Zuccarello. But I mean, look, that's been the story of his career. He hasn't been good enough to be a starter. And he's kind of been a bit of a mediocre backup. Let's be honest here. It's not like there were 10 teams that were champion at the bit to sign Riddick as their backup here.
Well, look, no, I don't think anybody would be surprised if this is his last game in a Winnipeg Jets jersey. And again, I'm not trying to pick on him by any stretch of the imagination. I thought he actually did his job earlier in the year very admirably. He came in, he won some games. The Jets knew that they were going to be running Connor Hellebuyck into the ground, and that's what they did, because Connor Hellebuyck is the linchpin to this team's success. So what you want from David Riddick, at least earlier in the year, is you want him to play a dozen games, however, whatever number he ended up with in the course of the year. You want him to win a few of those games. He did. And it would not be a surprise if the Jets are in the market for a different backup goaltender next year to try and do something similar, play, maybe 15 to 20 games, be not expensive, win some of those games, but ultimately push comes to shove. It's Connor Hellebuyck, 1A, 1B, 1C.
It could be Arvid Holm, right, Drew? That's not, I don't think that's ridiculous. I think Arvid Holm's played a few years with the Moose now, and he's played really well. Dave will back that up, right? So I think Arvid Holm will get a look for sure.
I mean,
Sorry, I was just looking at the goal because I wanted to see what JB Brown was saying. It was a good goal. It was a curl and drag. I did see that he did go, like, again, having now the benefit of watching the replay. I mean, he does shoot it through Dylan, but again, like I said, he uses Dylan well. I'll give him that credit, but I still think Rittich should have been prepared for it.
Anyway, that far away, you should pick up the shot still, even with the screen.
Rodriguez is. He's a goal scorer, Dave, for sure. Yeah. But like that was, to your point, that's a shot that when you're shooting the puck 35, 40 feet, and there, even though there might have been a bit of a screen, I don't think there was a deflection.
He shot it through. He shot it through Dylan's legs. So
I mean, and Riddick gets a piece of it. So I mean, whatever you want to say, it wasn't a good look on Riddick there.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry to go back to I got a little opportunity for Moose, and I just passed right over it. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, did you have a stroke or something?
No. I was trying to be an analyst on the Illegal Curve postgame show, boys. But
why can't Dave answer me this question? Why can't Arvid Holm be the Jets' backup next year?
I'm not saying he couldn't. I think he's filled in admirably for the the Manitoba Moose. Sorry, he's been quite good through stretches. He's dealing with an illness right now, which is the reason why Evan Cormier was recalled to the Moose and played his first game of the season last night. But he's had a nice tandem with Oskari Salmon and a little Nordic contributions between Finland and Sweden. But no, Holmes a nice kid. He's got a good disposition, and I think he's a solid netminder. I mean, people were asking me, what's his story? I said, well, look, he's a project, right? He's a 2016 6-rounder, but he's fit in nicely with the Moose. I can't remember off the top of my head, but his numbers have been good. His numbers have been very solid throughout the course of this year for Manitoba. And
sorry, Dave, don't you want a goaltender like that? Like Hellebuck's gonna play a similar amount next year. Right? It might not be the exact amount, but it's going to be 60 to 65 games. So don't you want a goaltender like Arvid Holm? And obviously you're going to have salary cap, there's going to be a different salary cap situation next year. So Holm's obviously not a guy that's going to cost a lot of money. And by the way, Drew, I'm not against the Jets bringing in a veteran backup.
Right.
I'm just saying that, I think Arvid Holm, at the very least, is in the conversation to be the backup next year.
No, there's no question about it. I mean, he's got a .913, save percentage with the Moose. I think a .260 goals against average. He's 18, 11, and 3. I thought it was 19, but 18, 11, and 3 for the Moose. So he's been a very good goaltender. He's played well. And we'll have Drew McIntyre, the new Moose goalie coach, on. We'll get his insight as to what how he's seen his development. But I think they're happy with the way he's developed.
And he's actually still recovering from WrestleMania, Drew McIntyre.
I got Dave has no idea who that is. He did not understand that.
You don't know, there's a wrestler who goes by the Scottish Psychopath, and he carries a sword with him to the ring, and his name is Drew.
I didn't understand it, but I was appreciative of Brent giving me a little dap for saying Nordic, not Scandinavian, like some other people do. Just saying.
Well, Sweden and Finland are Nordic.
I know, that's why I said Nordic, but he said a lot of people say Scandinavian.
Finland is not Scandinavian. No.
Okay, well,
look at the geography lesson. Anywho, let's just say that I think Arvid Holm could be in the mix for now. The Jets may want a more quote experienced, but I mean, there's no reason to think that he wouldn't get an opportunity as well. Oskari Salmon, they're both solid. And again, like I said, the reality is. Like, guys, well, I mean, look, we shouldn't be jumping to any conclusions with respect to what's going to happen and what the Jets are going to look like next year. But going on the presumption that Connor Hellebuck is your goaltender.
The backup goaltender will be far down the list of priorities, I suspect.
Well, I mean, presumably that Connor Hellebuck is the Jets goaltender for the entirety of next year. Yeah. And if he is, then, he's going to play 65 games. So you really just need someone to get in that 15 to 20 range. And I think that Holm could probably do that at this point.
We criticized David Riddick, but we should give him praise. He did stop Lars Eller on that penalty shot. That came about halfway mark of the third period.
Why isn't Nathan McKinnon taking that penalty shot?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
He was the one that was tripped.
Well, would you like me to ask Jared Bednar? I'm not. Really
I'm just throwing it out there, boys. It's a post game show. We're having, we're having good discussions. I was a little bit surprised that I don't know if McKinnon was shaken up there or anything like that. It's just like Eller. I think has been a good guy in the shootout. Like, obviously, there's a reason why they
But
picked
you know what?
Lars Eller. I just thought that, why not give that to McKinnon? It's such an important game with playoff implications. That's all I'm saying. I just thought McKinnon was going to take the shot because he was the one that was tripped.
We have breaking news, courtesy of Kenny's water bottle. Drew McIntyre is the Celtic warrior, not the Scottish psychopath. So the Scottish psychopath is somebody completely else. Perhaps you've made up your own wrestler entirely.
Nope, that's wrong. Because Sheamus is Irish and he is the Celtic warrior.
Oh, now we have
Sheamus is Irish. I would know because I'm.
Hold on, I have a question. What's the bigger controversy? That or the fact that it was people who were thinking it was Ehlers who was actually tripped? Hence the reason why he took the penalty shot.
Well, somebody can look at the replay right now because I'm in the middle of the.
I thought it was Nathan McKinnon that had the breakaway there.
Well, we have.
I thought you were right too, to be honest with you. But there's some other folks who are saying it was Eller. I could have sworn it was McKinnon as well. But...
And back to Kenny's water bottle, who's trying to outsmart me here. No, it's Sheamus, who's the big Irish guy. I'm a quarter Irish, I know. Drew McIntyre is 100% the Scottish psychopath.
Wait, Drew McIntyre, the goalie coach for the Manitoba Moose?
No, he's just the goalie coach for the Manitoba Moose. I'm talking about the wrestler.
Okay, well, here we go. You can tell this is game 82 of the regular season and not that all important. I promise you, it's going to be crisper and better for the first game of the playoffs, folks. I can assure you we will be more in tune for that one when that.
We're having a great show. Game. I don't know what you're talking about, Drew.
I can tell you that the winner of the contest is in the chat.
Oh, the winner of the contest is in the chat. Now that's going to keep people around.
Yeah, so all you close to 200 folks better stick around.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. And the scoring finished up with Arturi Lehkonen after the Jets had.
Hold on, I like this comment by our boy Bruce. Don't forget to smash the like button, or else we might lose. I see. Remember, it takes all of us.
There you go.
Narrated by Kenny Omega.
The Jets. We'll talk about that on the other end of the break as well. The Jets had a push. They tried to tie the game up. They had pulled the goalie. They had some scoring chances. They weren't quite able to do it. Arturi Lehkonen gets his 21st of the year. He's back in the lineup. He's missed, I think, something like the last 15 games or so.
What about Arturi Lehkonen? 21 goals, and as you mentioned, Drew, he's missed 15 games.
Yeah,
pretty good season for Lehkonen.
He's a good little player.
He is.
Bowen Byram and Lars Eller getting the assist on that 4-2 final in tonight's game.
Do you want our analysis on the empty netter?
No, I don't really
my
want
question
your
is,
analysis.
why did the Jets pull their goalie in a meaningless game?
Well, because they have to try and tie the game up. I understand it. I was going to say, who's getting the Seagram shot of the game? Is it going to Mikko Rantanen? I think probably Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the.
You have to pick a Jet, Drew.
I don't have to pick a Jet. There's no rules involved.
I don't think. Go back. I don't think Drew has picked an opposing player yet.
I have when the Jets were shut out.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Touche.
There you go. Now, Mikko Rantanen gets our Seagram shot of the game.
For sure, Rantanen.
Yeah, Seagram's 83. Manitoba's favorite Canadian whiskey. Get your favorite Seagram's product at any of our local liquor marts or wherever your fine liquor products are sold. Big thanks to Seagram's for their continued sponsorship of the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's a final in Edmonton, I believe. 5-2. The Oilers have defeated the San Jose Sharks. So the Oilers took care of their what they need to do. The Kings are up 3-1 on the Anaheim.
Wow, the Oilers beat the Sharks. That's shocking.
I know. And it's 1-1 first intermission between the Golden Knights and the Kraken. So we keep an eye on that game to determine who the Jets' playoff opponent will be. Let's head to break. When we come back, we'll talk more about who you think the Jets would prefer to face. We'll talk about Saturday's Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
I'm going to make a poll right now.
Okay, Dave's going to make a poll. I'm not even sure how we do that, but Dave's going to make it nonetheless. And of course, we'll probably touch on the marketing campaign that fizzled before it even got started. That's True North's latest misstep, in my humble opinion. Stay tuned. Much more to come. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. The Betway game recap just wrapped up. We have one final contest winner to give away as well. So don't go anywhere. You're watching the Illegal Curve Hockey Show with Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, and Ezra Ginsburg.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
There's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. "20 minutes before the top of the hour, welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg with you on this Thursday night. We remind you, 9 a.m. Saturday, the Illegal Curve hockey show, comprehensive preview. You won't want to miss this show. It's all about the Jets and whomever their opponent is going to be. We will dive deep and we will be going into all the minutia about the matchup between the Jets and their playoff opponent.
And we have a guest to announce.
Eric Duhatschek, if I can.
Eric Duhatschek of The Athletic. We have not had him on since the TSN 1290 days, but for anybody who's been with us since the TSN 1290 days, or even going back further to the Kick FM days, we always had Eric Duhatschek on for the regular season preview and the playoff preview with Kevin Allen, who we have had on this format. But Eric Duhatschek I mean, for those who don't know, he's a Hall of Fame journalist and just one of the great guys and the great, I just think, an amazing person, but also a great writer. The Duhatschek notebook in The Athletic is a must read. So it's going to be awesome to preview the playoffs with Eric.
There you go. Eric Duhatschek going to join us on Saturday morning as well. So lots to come. Still, don't go anywhere. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, and you won't miss a minute. Gentlemen, let's touch on it before the playoffs. I sort of was chuckling to myself. Can you imagine where True North would be right now if, let's say, the Jets had lost on Tuesday to the Minnesota Wild and they would be on the cusp of maybe missing the playoffs, and then they also had launched with such a dud that marketing campaign on Tuesday as well. I know lots of ink has been spilled, a lot of opinions have been made so far about it, but the word that I would use most, Ezzy, to describe it is tone deaf, I thought.
Yeah, that's fair enough. The timing was odd to me. Like when people, I honestly didn't see it. And then when it came out, I was kind of like, okay, season ticket drive, I understand. I was thinking is True North like getting people ready for the playoff tickets, right? But the Jets hadn't clinched a playoff spot yet. So I was confused. Then I watched the video and it was narrated by Kenny Omega, who's obviously one of the best wrestlers of all time. So that was cool. But it was kind of confusing and there was kind of cryptic language, but not so subtle, not so cryptic. You know what I mean? You guys are obviously, know what I'm talking about with the kind of reference at the end to, the Jets will continue to be here as long as
question mark.
It's like, yeah, exactly. So it was a little bit tone deaf.
Dun, dun, dun.
Look, I mean, if we're going to get into the contest here, but the reality of the situation is a lot has changed since 2011, right? And most recently, the biggest thing that has occurred is the pandemic. So we're coming out of a pandemic. I mean, look, the economy is it's a weaker economy. Everybody knows what everything is more expensive: gas, groceries, everything. I think there's a lot of factors here. We're 12 years in. I think there's a lot of fans that are disappointed with the results, namely the Jets missing the playoffs last year. I mean, I don't think most people at the beginning of the season thought the Jets were going to miss the playoffs, and they almost missed the playoffs this year, right? So I think there's a lot of people who are rethinking spending thousands of dollars on season tickets, right? So, and I don't think this was the right way to go about encouraging people to buy season tickets.
I would agree. And Dave, I'm not I don't have a PhD in marketing, but
sure.
I'm smart enough to know that if you launch a marketing campaign and then within 12 to 18 hours of launching that campaign, you have to do damage control about the campaign you just launched, something has gone wrong with your marketing campaign.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I think that they tried. I think what they were trying to do is they were trying to capture the emotion of Winnipeggers. The problem is that a lot of Winnipeggers, especially folks who are old enough to remember the Jets 1.0 leaving, who are your season ticket base in large part, a lot of those people who grew up with the Jets leaving, having that scar, live on your soul, knowing that the Jets have left once before. I think it was trying to evoke something, and perhaps the people who created this campaign weren't in Winnipeg at the time to understand how that message would play out with Winnipeggers, but it was the wrong message. It really was. Like, you look at you want to build on the way Winnipeg support things, and Winnipeg does a fantastic job. And people say, I've heard people tell me Winnipeg isn't a hockey town, which I think is nonsense. I've heard people say that Winnipeg isn't good. Like, guys, if you guys remember, Winnipeg did the World Juniors better than anyone back in the day. I think
Winnipeg won the first ever Olympic gold medal in hockey. If we're not a hockey town, who is?
No, but I'm just saying that we as a community support. Yes. But it's not unbridled. It's not just like, okay, here you go. You get everything.
Blind support.
That's right. It's like, again, but I think that the message was trying to, resonate with those folks who are your season ticket base or could potentially be your season ticket base, and evoking those memories, the good memories of the Jets 1.0. But the problem is it played on fear that a lot of folks, felt tone deaf. And look, I saw one of the comments just now, and I'm sure some other folks have said this. Some people weren't bothered by the tone. And the reality is you're allowed to speak to whomever, but the problem was there were a lot of people who were upset with the tone. And if there's a lot of people who are upset with the tone, then you're not doing what is your goal, which is to, get people talking about a campaign to support your product.
Right.
And so when Mark Chipman has to go and do a second interview with the Free Press, and talk about.
Let me just stop you for a second there. Why that's so significant. Mark Chipman hasn't spoken to the Free Press in, I would say, at least 3 or 4 years. In a one-on-one situation. Like he spoke with Martin Cash, who's the Free Press business reporter. I know that some of our colleagues in the sports department have requested interviews with Mark Chipman, and they've been turned down flat. I believe that and I don't know this for fact, but I'm going to say that I believe strongly. I know that the rift started when former Free Press columnist Paul Wiesek used some
colorful language
in describing Mark
doesn't
Chipman
matter anyways,
and the Chipman family and their in their auto dealership, which they have no reason to be. They should be proud of their successful business. Paul Wiesek colored it in a very negative light and used a sort of a derogatory term with regarding to car salesmen.
Anyways, that's not the point. The point I'm making is that he went and he had to kind of flesh it out, and he had to say, listen, like there's no, like literally the headline was, "We are not leaving." And the reality was that it seemed like the push, there was a couple of things. One, in the original article by Martin Cash, and when he spoke to the business community at their luncheon, he revealed that they lost 3,000 season ticket holders. That's a big number. But as he's right, and this is we're at the end of a pandemic, and the economy has changed vastly. And look, we're not going to go, they're not turning this into the illegal
business hour.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't really make a difference about all those other external factors. I mean, it factors in, but I'm just saying that the campaign, I think, was well-intentioned, but I just think it was poor. I think it was well-intentioned. I think that there's a method behind it. I just don't think that what they tried to evoke didn't hit the right notes with the people that it was trying to reach.
And the thing is, people have been criticizing this, and the season ticket holders or Jets fans that have been defensive are saying, well, we need to get the season ticket base up. That's not, you're missing the point. Nobody's mad about that. Everybody agrees that the season ticket numbers need to be higher, right? We all remember the drive to 13,000. The Jets got 13,000 season tickets.
We did like a 6-hour show on TSN 1290.
Right. I think we did it live from the tavern, if I'm not mistaken. You did. No. Sheldon popped on.
No, you did.
That was the announcement that the team came back. The drive for when the tickets went on sale and they sold out in 17 minutes. That was a couple months later.
Yeah, that was just a regular studio show. But I think, the point I was going to try to make is not only were there 13,000 season ticket holders, there were thousands of people on the wait list, something like 7,000 or 8,000. So, I mean, now they're down to 10,000. So no Jets fan in the right mind, is disputing that. It's it's the fashion in which the Jets encouraged people that season ticket numbers need to go up by basically threatening Jets fans and saying that if Jets fans aren't, and it was a subtle way, obviously, but they were veiled threats, right? That's what people have an issue with here. And I think, everyone agrees, like Brent Bellamy's talking about it here. Like, the Jets need to put a winning product on the ice, not just a team that makes the playoffs, but a team that goes to the third round, that wins a Stanley Cup or goes to the Stanley Cup final. That's what fans want. And I think the lack of direction of this team, like, we don't know, like, is Pierre-Luc Dubois going to be traded after this year? Is Mark Scheifele going to be traded? The direction is pretty unclear. Whether the Jets win a round or they win 2 rounds, I think it's tough to see really where this team is going. Like, is this going to be a rebuild on the fly? Is it going to be a retool? Like, I have no idea, but there's a couple of players, no, actually not a couple, there's 4 players that have 1 year left on their contract.
Guys,
and I don't think all 4 of those guys are going to be back. So I think there's a lot of things happening here that have led to this point.
There's a couple factors here. I think, first of all, if their goal of this marketing campaign was to increase the number of season ticket holders from the business community, well, they missed that messaging. They didn't get that messaging right. That's what Mark Chipman was saying at the launch of that at the Chamber of Commerce meeting, and that's what he said in the subsequent interview with Martin Cash, is like that this was targeted not necessarily at the Joe average season ticket holder, but it was targeted at the business community. Well, if that's your goal, that's fine, but you missed on that one. That was just a big miss, is what it breaks down to. Because what you did is you offended your average ticket buyer and average ticket holder, and that's something that you should probably want to look into as to how you missed that battle.
Sorry, Drew, to cut you off just quickly. I just wanted to say, but the average ticket holder is the vast majority. Like, the business ticket holder is not the big base of the season ticket holder. It isn't a big percentage of the season ticket holder base. That's why, to your point, I mean, you should be encouraging everybody, businesses, individuals, families, friends, everybody. And the thing is, that video and that campaign, nobody could tell if that was directed at businesses or whatever. It's just directed at people who want to possibly buy tickets, right? So I agree with you. They completely missed who they were targeting this at.
That they missed it badly, and I
targeting
still,
this too, I should say.
I still don't see any introspection from True North as to why their numbers have dwindled. I don't see them, and this is something that I think they should have needed to do for years. I don't see them, exploring truly why people have run away. Is it the pandemic? Sure, it might be, but I'll be blunt.
It's expensive.
Well,
it's expensive to go to hockey games.
Of course it's expensive. But I'll be blunt, is that they don't do enough to make people want to go. They don't do enough to I just don't think they make their buying public feel appreciated and provide a good enough customer service. I've used this example before, but I think it's a very telling example. You buy a ticket to a Bomber game. And you go to the Bomber game, it's $5. It's $5 for a beer up until kickoff. Great. It's a nice little promotion. It's something that makes people, they come to the games, they want to drink a beer. The Jets do something similar, but I think the difference between the two just says everything about it. The Jets do something similar. It's $5 beer, not until puck drop, but it's $5 beer until the end of warm-up. Well, the end of warm-up is oftentimes like 25 minutes before the game begins. That doesn't appeal to anybody. A lot of people aren't even in the building until 5 minutes before the game starts, right? Especially on a Monday night against San Jose, people aren't showing up to the game an hour beforehand for a $5 beer. It's just little things like that. Sure. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do the same offering, but it just says, look at the customer service that one sporting event is offering, and look at the customer service and the promotions that another one is offering. So to me, it leaves a sour taste in my mouth when I see that big difference, and I chalk it up to nothing. There's just no reason for it. If you're going to offer the promotion, try and do it so that people can actually take advantage of it. It's just small, easy to fix things like that for whatever reason, which I would describe as low-hanging fruit, they refuse to pick that low-hanging fruit.
Well, and I think what it comes down to, and I know that they created that little council. I haven't heard any. No, I know. But look, they did with the intention of doing something. Yeah. I have no idea whether
for people who don't know what Dave's talking about it was called a fan advisory council, I believe.
Right. Yeah. And they created this with a cross section of fans who will volunteer their time and we've seen them sometimes on the videos, blah, blah, blah. But I think ultimately, again, I don't know what kind of impact they've had. More importantly, though, I do want to agree with the sentiment by Kenny's water bottle, who said, I heard the IC guys are using the Jets marketing campaign as our own way to threaten the end of the show unless he supported the show. So he gave us a nice little donation. I'm not going to say that everyone should do that. Hint, hint.
Thank you, Kenny.
But thank you to Kenny's water bottle. We always appreciate that. It's unnecessary, but we accept it nonetheless. But no, look, it's just, again, hey, look, what do they say? Sometimes they say that, if people are speaking about you, it's better than not talking about you at all. Well, people have been talking about the Jets for some time, with respect to this. They were talking about it on 32 Thoughts or the Jeff Merrick show with Friedman and Merrick. But the reality is, and again, the sentiment is, this Jets, I think the overarching theme is that, look, guys, at the end of the day, Mark Chipman this is a business. He's there to make money. Right. He loves the team. I don't question that, but he's there to make money. He's made a lot of money. Now he hasn't realized that money because it's a value. It's not a tangible amount of money he has in the bank, but obviously the value of the franchise has increased like sixfold, and he's invested. That's the other thing that people have to realize. Mark Chipman is invested in this downtown being successful. And one of the things that needs to be successful is an NHL hockey team. I think. So if you're going to have that, what he's building with all the hotels and the condos and everything like that, you need this as your anchor sort of to the downtown.
And you're right. And everybody knows that. But I think that, what has irked Jets fans about this whole thing is that they want more value. That's what Drew is getting at here. Like they want more value for what
I just think they don't want to be taken for granted, and they want to be treated with just a little bit more respect. And maybe that's also the respect from the general manager in talking to fans and explaining, the course of action and what the plans are and things like that, instead of just saying nothing. I think it's all, it's all sort of part of the culture that they've developed there, and part of the culture that they send out publicly, that this is their image, is that we will tell you what you need to know when we determine when you need to know it, and everything else. And there's no sort of give or take in my experience.
And you're right. And the thing is, like, the fan appreciation game, the Jets absolutely nailed that, right? Like jerseys off the back, like that, but it can't just be one game, right? Like it's got to be all 41 plus, if there's obviously playoffs and exhibition games, right? But you're right, Drew. I mean, that's what it's come down to, right? Like it's been 12 years since the Jets have come back.
Yeah.
And it's not like it was back in 2011, 2012, where again, I want the season ticket base to go up. I want, the Jets to sell out every single game. That's not what I'm saying here. But this is real money that people, you want that
as a Winnipegger. You want that as
absolutely,
as a
and like the people that are saying, about the team leaving, like that's way too early to start talking about that. The Jets have
the ones talking about it. That's the problem. They're the ones who are. They're the ones who put that out into the ether. Now maybe they didn't intend to, but if they didn't intend to, then somebody should have said, "Hey, what are we actually saying in this video?"
I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. I really don't. I believe it was just a misstep. I really don't think it was a threat. I think it was an attempt to evoke and to not prey upon, but to try and get people to resonate with people again of our age who buy season tickets, who go to these games, who support this team, and say, you've been down this road before, but not in it. Like, we're not going to do this tomorrow. I really do. I just think it was a bad marketing campaign. I really do.
Yeah.
Like when I watched that video the first time it came out. First of all, the website came out and it said Forever Winnipeg. I thought, that's a curious name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure. And then I watched the video and I went, that was odd. And I was
That's
thinking
exactly what I thought. I just didn't understand. The message was unclear. The message, everything about it was just not. It was bad.
I just think, again, like I said,
I'm sorry, I don't even know. Again, going back to what we were saying before, everybody realizes the season ticket base is down. Everybody wants it to go up. This was just not the right marketing. It was not the right way to do it.
Ezzy, let me just wrap this up in a neat little bow. If you need marketing advice, come to the three guys who came up with the Grit Park commercial, came up with the Rollies commercial,
or the GST line.
GST line. I mean, come on, people. I mean, we're not in the business.
They'll be bankrupt in no time flat.
We're not in the business of working for organizations, but unless I'm doing color for the Moose.
I think the saying that we're looking for is the road to hell is paved with good intentions, because I think that's maybe
Isn't that the name of our show?
No, that's not the name of our show, but that's maybe what they had good intentions here, maybe. But like I said, that oftentimes
our slogan is the road to hell is paved with good food. That's actually
our slogan. Yes, there you go.
Yeah. In any event, there you go. We had to touch on it. People have been talking about it, so we have to get our 2 cents in as well.
And let's never talk about it again.
Well, until there's a reason to talk about it again, I would say. Illegal Curve merchandise contest. We've done 81 of these.
Woo! The winner is in the chat.
The winner is in the chat. So we've done 81 of these. We've been giving away Jets gear all season long. It's time to give away the final piece of Jets gear. Let's have
hold on 1 second. I like look at Frosty. Look at this. Here's a perfect example. I've lost Ginsburg. Wait, he's enjoying the Jets tonight, and so should you.
There you go. The marketing, advertising with Illegal Curve works. The proof is right there,
guys. Hold on, just to prove the point I made, Ezzy, and you'll appreciate this. When Ez and I walked into the arena one night, and we're like, I don't know why actually. Oh no, you know what it was? And all of a sudden, the Jets were selling GST shirts. Now, for the record, we never got our honorarium from the Winnipeg Jets for using our intellectual property.
If anybody listening has one of those GST shirts in size XXL, I will definitely take them because I've never seen it. Like, I remember they were on the shelves, but you don't see anybody wearing them, Dave. I mean, that was from 10 years ago too, so those have probably made their way to Value Village at this point.
It was funny though, because I remember there was one of the car dealerships. I don't remember which one. I saw it on the cover of it's like maybe a Free Press or the Sun, but it was right there, and it was like GST. I'm like, is everybody going to use our gold? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get those royalties ever, Dave.
No, I don't think so either.
Let's get back to the merchandise contest after you guys digressed us so well.
That was a good digress.
That was a very good digress. The merchandise contest winner has been in the chat for most, if not all, 82 games this season.
We got him.
It's taken a long, long time to get to this point, but a hearty round of applause for today's merchandise contest winner, Leslie Michnick.
One of our favorites. That a boy, Leslie.
You have finally done it. You have finally achieved the Holy Grail. You have finally climbed Mount Everest.
Number 82.
All at once. You have finally done it. You are the winner of the Illegal Curve merchandise contest for game number 82. We've given away these prizes for the last 82 games. And Leslie,
just so you know, you're not going to get your merch till sometime in 2026. But you're the winner, and that's what's important for you to realize. So congrats to Leslie.
No. We're going to show up to Leslie's house in a limo and present that on a silver platter.
And by limo, he means his Astrovan.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. Congratulations to Leslie.
Oh, sorry, Drew.
Thank you. I put it up there already. Congratulations to Leslie for winning the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. It's been a fun contest to run. So big thanks to everyone who's been participating in that contest all season long.
It wasn't easy to run, I'll tell you that much, but it was fun to be able to give away Jets hats and shirts and t-shirts. And I know there's some of you who have still not received your stuff, including probably Is Your Boy Bruce. Actually, maybe he has. I don't even remember. There's still a bunch of people that I have to reach out to. And you know what? Agreeing to do this contest in the middle of the season, not my smartest move. But like I said, you guys will all, and girls will all get your merch. I've got everybody on a master list. So everyone will get it. And I appreciate you bearing with me and being patient with my tardiness. Procrastination is one of my bad habits. So I will get around to it. I've got a little window of time now. So I will try and get out a bunch more this week. And this week's already over, but at least next week for sure as well.
There you go, Dave. I'm working hard to get that for everybody, to give them all the prizes and get them out to them. Ezzy's going to be picking a Tough Duck contest winner, so we're trying to find somebody for that as well. And then, of course, this will give me an opportunity to remind everyone that if you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Be sure to join us Saturday morning for the Illegal Curve post-game show. I know that everyone's asking about the watch party. I get that. Or it's not even the watch party. It's the live broadcast of the Illegal Curve post-game show. That's what it's called, folks. It's the live broadcast of the Illegal Curve post-game show. We are going to we're trying to finalize the details. It does depend, of course, on the playoff schedule. So until the playoff schedule is known, we can't finalize any details. As soon as we can finalize things, keep it locked to our social media accounts, our Twitter feed, our Instagram feed, our Facebook feed, and of course the website, illegalcurve.com. We will give you all the details just as soon as we have them for you about the Illegal Curve post-game show, the live broadcast of this show that we're hoping so many of you will come and join us for next week. Again, details still being worked on. If somebody can get the NHL to release the playoff schedule, that would make our lives a lot easier in trying to figure these things out. But
Drew,
yes,
before we get to that, we started a poll 30 minutes ago.
Okay.
We got almost 200 votes.
Excellent.
I'm going to hit end poll.
Okay.
The vote went 57% in favor of Edmonton.
Yes.
So the majority.
Hold on, Jets fans want to play Edmonton?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what they said.
Surprising.
Yeah, 57% said Edmonton, and somehow it says 42%. Doesn't make sense. Pick Vegas. So
I thought it was going to be like 90% Vegas.
So I guess 57% of the audience wants the Jets season to end quicker. I guess that would be
people.
my assessment on it.
True. Come on.
Yeah.
People have different opinions, and so we'll see. Kenny's water bottle. He was starting to make up some points as to see Phyllis saying on Winnipeg Sports Talk, 80% vote for Vegas. So the audience. I don't know if the audience changed their minds. Who knows? But we will see what happens.
It's nighttime. The audience might be more drunk than they were during the day. That's also equally possible.
Well, they're going to be late night games. If it's Edmonton or in Vegas, it is going to be some late game 1 and game 2 Illegal Curve post game show. But we expect. Now, look, you guys are all OGs, but there's going to be a lot of other people. You're going to have to show them the ropes because, teach them
how to behave.
That's right. Because like we saw the last show unexpectedly was like almost 800 folks in the chat, but the OGs, you guys knew what to do. You kept them in line. You're going to have to do that again because there'll probably be a big influx again, but we'll keep things rolling smoothly.
Yeah, like Leslie Mitchnick. He waited till game 82. He's an OG. He'll keep it real.
Do we need security in the live chat? Is that what we're going to need for the games?
Maybe. Wait, is JB offering to buy me a drink at the Greenbrier on Main Street in Rupertsland? Because that's like my hood. So if that's the case, I'll go there. It's fine.
That's our Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. Sorry, Drew, I had to go back.
No, it's all good. You got it up there.
Yeah, Craig Penner, who's often watching the IC postgame show. Hopefully, Craig is watching. This was a meaningful game for the Black Aces. Obviously, talking about the guys that haven't been regulars in the lineup, trying to prove they belong. A number of those guys, like Axel, showed they did and could compete while doing it. Obviously, Axel Janssen-Fjällby had a big game for the Jets. Scored a big goal. And, Carson Kuhlman, I thought, looked good. Kyle Capobianco, Logan Stanley, the Black Aces. So, Craig, send me an email, ezra@illegalcurve.com. You are the final regular season winner of the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. So just send me your mailing info and Tough Duck will ship out a toque. And we are going to continue the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment contest with apparel that is more spring oriented.
Tough Duck booty shorts. Very excited to give away Tough Duck booty shorts.
And thongs. Don't forget.
Ezzy will be modeling both. And then Tough Duck will be going out of business. So there you go.
And our eyes will be Oedipusing ourselves. Just trying to
Oedipusing ourselves. That's funny.
Thank you. That's it for tonight, folks. Go watch the end of the Kraken and the Golden Knights. It's still 1-1 latter half of the second period. We will know within about, let's say, maybe an hour and 10 minutes who the Winnipeg Jets will be facing come playoff time and when those games will be. And, of course, we will bring you all of that on illegalcurve.com. Big thanks to all of you for joining us tonight. Big thanks to all of you for joining us all regular season long. And we're excited to keep it rolling with you sometime next week, Saturday morning with the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. And then sometime next week with the playoffs. You know that we go through the 82 games just to get to the playoff time. So that's when it's going to be at its most fun. And these chats will be rollicking and raucous, no doubt. Big thanks to all of our sponsors here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park, and The Keg support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. For Dave Manouk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Until Saturday at 9 a.m., we wish you good night. We wish you good luck. Thanks for watching this post-game show and the 81 post-game shows that preceded it. We'll see you on Saturday morning.